Hi students, in this video discuss about an cursors. Oracle create a memory area known as context area for the processing for SQL statement which contain all the information needed for processing to the statement, for the example number of rows processed, etc. The cursor is a pointer to this context area. PLSQL control and the context area through the cursor. The cursor holds the rows written by the SQL statement. Set of rows for the cursor holder is referred as effective set. You can name cursor so you can name the cursor so that it would refer to the program, fetch the process and rows written by the SQL statement. Once a time, there are two types of cursor: implicit cursor, implicit cursor. Implicit cursor are automatically created by Oracle whenever an SQL statement is executed, when there are no explicit cursor for the statement. The programmer cannot control the implicit cursor and the information in it. Whenever a DML statement insert, update and delete or is used, an implicit cursor is associated with the statement. For inserts operation, the cursor hold on the data that needs to be inserted. For update and delete operation, the cursor identify the rows then would be affected. In PLSQL, you can refer most recent implicit cursors, SQL cursor, which always has attributes such as percentage found and percentage of is for open, percentage of not found and percentage of row count. Then SQL cursor has additional attributes percentage of bulk underscore row count and bulk underscore exception are designed to use the for all statement. The following table provides for description of the most used attributes. The first one is percentage found. It returns true if an insert, update or delete statement affected one or more rows are selected into return one or more rows, otherwise if it's written false. Then not found, the logical opposite of not found, it defines the true if insert, update, delete statement is affected no rows or is selected statement no rows, otherwise if it is returns false. Is open is always written false. The implicit cursor becomes Oracle close the SQL cursor automatically after executing associated with SQL statement. Then row count, it returns number of rows affected by the insert, update, delete statement for written by the select into statement. And for example, we will using the customer table, we had created the chapters. The select asterisk from customers. The following program will update on the table increase and salary of each customer by 500 and SQL row count attributes are determine number of rows are affected. The code is executed by SQL prompt. It produces the following result is 6 customers are selected. If you check the records, the customer table, you can find the rows have been updated. Explicit cursor and the programmer define the cursor for gaining more control over the context area. An explicit cursor should define the declaration section of PL/SQL block if it is created select statement which names more than one row. Cursor name is select name. Working on explicit cursor include following steps: declaring cursor for initializing the memory, opening the cursor for allocating memory, fetching the cursor for retrieving data, and closing the cursor release the allocate memory. Declare the cursor. Declaring the cursor, define the cursor which name and associated with select statement. For example, cursor seek underscore customer is select id comma name address from customers. Opening cursor allocate the memory for the cursor and makes it reading and fetching the rows written by the SQL statement. Open C underscore customer. Fetching the cursor involves accessing one or more at a time. For example, we will fetch the rows from above opened cursor. Fetch underscore C customer into C IDs and C name and C author. Closing cursor is the name releasing the allocated memory. So for example, we will close the opened cursor. So close C underscore customer. Thank you.